You ever notice how the loudest person in the room isn't always the smartest one? Well, today we're going to dive into what real wisdom actually looks like. And it might just challenge everything you thought you knew about being intelligent.
This right here, this is pretty much the core idea of what we're talking about. It's such a powerful reminder that true insight, real understanding, it doesn't need to announce itself. It's not about shouting for attention. Instead, wisdom often works quietly in the background, just observing, processing, and really understanding the world on a much, much deeper level. So what's so interesting here is the contrast, right? On one side, you've got that classic stereotype, the person who just has to speak first, dominates the conversation, and always feels like they need to prove how smart they are. But then, look at the other side. You see the real signs of wisdom, listening first, asking the right questions, trying to understand, and always, always staying curious. It's a completely different mindset. So why do we get this so wrong all the time? In this first section, we're going to explore this whole myth of intelligence, this idea that being smart is some kind of performance and that whoever talks the most must automatically know the most. I mean, really think about it. In meetings, in classrooms, even just hanging out with friends, who usually gets all the attention? It's the most confident, assertive voice, right? We kind of automatically equate being fast and loud with being smart. But is that actually intelligence, or is it just confidence? That's the question we really need to be asking ourselves. And that leads us straight to the first and maybe the most important sign of true wisdom. We're talking about the art of listening. And I call it an art for a reason, because it's an active, super powerful skill, not just something you do passively. Okay, this definition is absolutely key. Most of us, if we're being honest, listen while we're just preparing what we're going to say next. We're just waiting for our turn to jump in. But active listening, that's a whole different ballgame. It's about fully concentrating on what's being said, taking in the information without judging it, and genuinely trying to get where the other person is coming from. And look, when you break it down like this, the process is actually pretty simple. First, you just absorb the information, let it sink in. Then, and this is the part we often skip, you actually take a moment to process what it means. And only then, after you've truly understood, do you come up with a thoughtful response. It's deliberate, it's respectful, and believe me, it is an incredibly effective way to engage with people. So here's the bottom line. The goal isn't to win the conversation. That's all about ego, it's about conflict. The real goal is to understand it. That's a huge shift from trying to prove you're right to trying to build a shared perspective. Which brings us to our next major theme, the humility that is just so essential for learning. This is all about recognizing that, knowledge can come from anywhere and that admitting what you don't know isn't a weakness, it's a sign of strength. Just take a second and think about that. Your mind probably jumps to a professor, a mentor, maybe an author you admire. But a truly wise person, they understand that the pool of potential teachers is way, way bigger than that. And here's where it gets really interesting. Of course, we learn from experts and our peers. We can even learn a ton from our competitors. But the truly wise, they can even learn from fools. They can see what not to do from someone's mistakes, or they can hear a simple truth in a comment that everyone else just dismissed. Every single person is a potential lesson. Those 3 little words, I don't know, they're some of the most powerful words a person can ever say. It's not an admission of failure, it's an invitation to learn. It opens the door to curiosity, to asking questions, and to actually finding the real answer. And get this isn't some new idea. We're talking over 2,000 years ago. Socrates already understood this profound truth. This isn't about being ignorant. It's about being aware of just how vast knowledge is and recognizing the limits of what you know. That intellectual humility, that's the foundation that all real wisdom is built on. So let's bring this all together now. We need to start redefining what we're looking for when we look for intelligence. It's about shifting from celebrating that loud performance to actually valuing the quiet, steady process of becoming truly learned. This slide just sums it all up perfectly. The myth is that intelligence is this loud, flashy, definitive performance. But the reality? Wisdom is a quiet, continuous process of listening, asking questions, and always seeking more knowledge. One is a destination. The other is a lifelong journey. As we start to wrap this up, I want you to think about this for yourself. Which of these signs do you want to work on? Is it active listening? Is it having the humility to learn from absolutely everyone? Or is it finding the courage to just say, I don't know? because choosing to cultivate even one of these traits can totally change how you interact with the world around you. And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway. Chasing the title of the smartest person in the room is just an ego-driven race that has no finish line. But striving to be the wisest, well, that's about growth. It's about understanding and connection. And that is a far more rewarding and ultimately a much more intelligent goal to have.